I mean, first of all, the experience has been amazing. To be in a room with such dignitaries, to hear them talk about plans they have in terms of development of basketball in Africa for both men and women, and also in the youth, for the youth, and everything that extends outside of just playing basketball, like the aspect side of the business side of things, the economic growth this could have on Africa, has just been very eye-opening for me. And with respect to the Cape Town Tigers, I saw a lot of new faces and also an old face in Billy Preston coming back. I think they're good. I'm just not sure how much time they've had in terms of preparation, because just last week the national team was away, or 2 weeks back, sorry, the national team was away on national team duty in Mozambique. And I don't think there's been any competitive basketball before that since November for these Tigers. But they have the elements of surprise. I mean, they always seem to do well in the group stages and then in the various conferences to make it to the playoffs. I'm not sure how it's going to be this time, because they're going up against very tough oppositions. You know, the perennial dogs of African basketball in Petro de Luanda and FUS Rabat, who we've never seen them on play in the BAL, but just having seen the team now at lunch, and they've got quite the team, you know, some 7-footers, you know, they've got the athleticism, and they're in season at the moment, so you are expecting them to come out guns blazing. And Dinamo from Burundi, who are hungry and want to make an impact and make a name for themselves on the African continent, are also here. So it's going to be very difficult to see, it's going to be very interesting rather to see how the Cape Town Tigers play against these guys, but I'm sure they've got something up their sleeve. I'm not sure how much impact a lot of the players will have, but they've got something up their sleeve. It's very difficult to predict, because as much as it's a very different Dinamo, it's also a very different Cape Town Tigers. They've added the likes of Billy Preston, who we know is a scorer. You know, I don't know many people who I would be comfortable Billy passing the ball to, because himself is probably the best scorer, and he also brings some size. And the culture of the team has grown because they've seemed to keep that core for a lot longer. They know what they want. But also Dinamo is very hungry, and they've got some very, very good players, you know. And they've also made some serious additions, and I saw Israel Lotobo is also back, so it's going to be very interesting. Although I do think Tigers will have the edge on them, I'm not sure by how much. You know, it'll be a very close game, if anything. But yeah, I think this one will go to Tigers. Where I want them to finish is top, you know. But realistically, I'm not so sure, because basketball cannot be cheated. It cannot be. You can't take short corners to championship in any sport, for that matter. And you're playing against a seasoned team in Petro de Luanda, a seasoned team in FUS Rabat, and also in Dinamo. So, and these are all teams that have proven their worth in tougher leagues around the continent, but also even Petro, who have proven themselves in the BAL in its own. You know, I don't see them winning the conference, simply because I think Petro will be a much better team, and I'm not sure what to make yet of this Rabat team, but it's going to be between Tigers and Rabat. But if I have to, my heart is telling me Tigers, because obviously these are players I know and players I compete with, but I think realistically people will go for Rabat. But all of this is to be seen tomorrow. So it obviously puts us on the map in terms of what the country has to offer. We really talk about infrastructure just generally and the conditions of the country, so that already puts us a step ahead. However, this is 10 days of basketball. You know, how much of an impact this 10 days will have is what really matters. You know, will this then lead to? I mean, you've seen in Rwanda, for example, they had the BK arena, but they've still built another arena. They didn't just wait for the playoff buzz to go away. They've used that as momentum to build more. It's going to be interesting to see what BSA does after this, BSA, BNL, and maybe even the BAL, in terms of building infrastructure around basketball in South Africa. Maybe a new arena or two, expanding the game from not just being in Joburg, but decentralizing that to give more opportunities, business opportunities, economic opportunities to various people around the country, because that's what the sport does. It has the power to change a lot of things. It's great because this arena, just stepped in there a few moments ago, and it's state of the art, you know, like as good as anything you can expect. So hopefully this continues to be to show in many aspects, and not just in the BAL, but other local leagues and so on, and also in developments and grassroots level for basketball in South Africa. I think first and foremost, we heard the president of the BAL, Mr. Amadou Fall, say none of this would be possible without their partners, first of and the various sponsors they have. So I think the very first thing the local league and the Basketball National League could look to do is attract more partners, you know, because it takes a village to raise a child. In this case, the child is Basketball South Africa, or Basketball in South Africa, sorry. So in order for that to happen, we need cooperation from various entities, and that goes from government to private sector, public, private, and even ourselves, the public, you know, as stakeholders. What the BNL could definitely learn is the marketing of the game, first of all, you know, to have everywhere you go, you see a BAL on the billboard, you see it everywhere. The marketing of the game, but also BAL has ensured that the talent they bring is of the highest level. So BNL could invest in the leagues that run in the off season to become just as competitive, and also to see that integration of that caliber of players going into the BNL, because we've got a lot of great players in South Africa who fairly just don't play in the BNL. And there's no point in having all that talent not be seen on the national platform, as well as the youth as well. And over and above that, infrastructure, that's the biggest thing. You cannot play basketball without infrastructure. And by infrastructure, I mean just decent courts, decent arenas all around the country that are also accessible to the public.